Hi everyone, this is Adam for RealHomeRecording.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use the IK Multimedia ARC system, which is a combination plug-in and microphone. Basically what this does, if you haven't seen the other videos I've talked about it will measure your speakers and your room to make sure that they are flat. And you want flat when you're mixing and recording and mastering, because flat will allow you to deliver good results to the most amount of playback systems / speakers that you can. If you don't have flat sounding monitors and a flat sounding room, there's going to be issues. So I'm going to show you exactly how to use it, because the manual doesn't go into everything and a lot of people don't like to read the manuals. So I'm going to show you guys how to use this to the best you can. First of all, you're going to need the stuff that you see on screen, which is, it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's not. We're going to have a microphone stand. We're going to have the actual microphone that comes with ARC. You cannot use another measurement microphone. You have to use the one that they provide. Otherwise, the results can be good or bad, but they definitely recommend you use the one with their system because it's calibrated to that microphone. The other thing you want to do, you need to make some labels with tape, with numbers. You need to have a measuring tape. An SPL meter isn't absolutely required, but I recommend it. You also need to have a quality microphone cable. I recommend Mogami or Canary. I have the live gold cable in this example, and I also have a high quality 1/4 inch mono cable from the brand Comprehensive. You could also use a quality Mogami Platinum guitar cable or a George L cable, but I'm not going to be that drastic, so I'm going to use the Comprehensive brand. And zip ties and a laser pointer, also crucial to doing this properly. So first of all, I have the stand already set up, as you probably already saw, and what it's set up to is to be the same height as my ear hole when I'm sitting down to mix. And we already did this before the camera started rolling. I can't sit down all the way because I have a mic pack on me, but essentially you want to sit down, and either if you do it yourself or have an assistant do it, it's easier, but you want to have this part of the microphone, the capsule. If you want to zoom in, cameraman, zoom in on this capsule right here. This should be lined up with the ear hole in your ear. And also you can zoom back out and come over here, please. When you're mixing and when you have your speaker set up, your tweeters should be at the same height as your ear hole as well. And also I have these cool RLX mopads, they call them. And then under here, on the subwoofer, I have the RLX, what is that darn thing called? I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but I'll put it on screen. It is basically, it elevates the subwoofer so it's not touching the floor, which helps with the audio, and that's what this does. The foam separates the speakers from the table, which can cause issues. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna let my dog back out into the main house. So first of all, what you need to do, before you do anything with the microphone, this is really important. So what I did is I have it's a storage container top. You can do this on your floor, but I have this so I can always recalibrate if I need to. What you do is you put the middle, number 1, that's going to be your first measurement. Then the second measurement, what you do is you put a tape measure, and I have this set to a foot. So at the 6 inch mark, I have my number 1 spot, and then number 2 is it's gonna go, when you're looking at it, left to right. So number 2 is gonna be on the left. I'll flip this around so the camera can see it easier. So this will be a little weird for me, but that's okay. So again, if you want to zoom in, camera guy, I have it at the 6 inch mark, approximately, is where the 1 is. At the 12 inch mark is where the 3 is, and the 2 is where the tape measure starts at 0. And then the idea is that you want to have it symmetrical on each side so that your even numbers are going to be on the left, your odd numbers are going to be on the right, and so on and so on. You want to get different measurements so that when you're mixing and moving your head around, and when this is measuring, it's going to get different measurements, It'll combine it. That's what they recommend in the manual. That's what I do. It works great. And what I'm going to do now is move my chair out of the way. And they tell you this, do not sit and don't have a chair in your mix position because it'll mess with the measurements. So I'm going to put this down like that, approximately where my head is when I'm mixing. So yeah, and if you want, you can also get measurements that are right above where your mix table is. If you have a mix table, that helps as well. So again, all I'm doing, I have a clean preamp. So it's microphone, quality cable, running into my mixer board. Now I have it running into input number 5 because it's noisier closer to the power supply, I've been told. So we have it at 5, and then on this power supply, it's closer to input number 1. So I chose 5 because it's in the middle, it's away from all the other channels. I have all the preamp volume, all the preamp trims down. That's important to get rid of any issues possibly with crosstalk. You want to just have the input that you're measuring on. And then I also have, because this is a Mackie mixer, on my, what is that? My insert input or insert output, either way you want to look at it, I have my cable just halfway in. That allows me to get the tap just from the preamp. So effectively, I'm taking the EQ, the auxiliary, the faders, all that's out of the circuit. I'm getting just the signal from the preamp. It's important to get as clean of a signal as you can get. And the Mackie XDR2 preamps, which is what I have in here, are known to be clean, neutral preamps. So as the most neutral preamp you can get your hands on, get that. Because some of your preamps are, quote, colored or character preamps. You don't want that when you're using the measurement microphone. So first of all, before I do any measurements, now this I might mess this up when I'm trying to do it, but I'm going to take my zip tie, and the flat side is where you want to put this in. I have my laser pointer. It's going to be pointed down with the button for the laser out. So what I'm going to do, as carefully as I can do this, actually what I'm going to do to make this maybe a little bit easier, we'll see what happens. It's moving around a little bit. All right, I'm going to come back so I'm not wasting too much time here. But once I have this applied, the idea is I'm going to put about 3 or 4 of these zip ties so that the laser pointer is pointed down, and that'll help me with lining it up with the numbers. And we'll be back in a minute or so. Okay, now that I have the zip ties on the mic, and by the way, I do recommend having an assistant help you do that because it is way easier to have somebody hold the mic and the clip together and the laser pointer all together. Just having a third or a fourth pair of hands, not pair, but a second pair of hands made that much easier. So if you have another human laying around, borrow them. So 2 other things. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but you need to have the microphone pointed straight up towards the ceiling. Do not point it towards the speakers. You're going to get a wrong measurement. You ideally should have this perpendicular to the floor, so a 90-degree angle formed with the boom arm of the mic stand, and again facing up, so it's a 90-degree angle. And the other thing that they recommend is extending this stand out as far as you can go. So hopefully I have enough mic cable left, and it's not going to be too much of an issue with the weight. And I'm going to make sure I'm still pointed straight up. Lock it. They say it stops the reflections off of the stand, which can mess with the high frequencies. Again, this is just like you're doing some kind of science project. It's very important to be precise when you do these measurements. Pain in the ass, but it's just what you need to do for it to work properly. So, one last step I think I need to do. If you hear the air conditioner, let me stop talking for a second so you can hear it. That needs to be off. That can mess with the measurement. So luckily I have a remote control for the one I have in here. And there you go. So now we're ready to go. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot in here while we're doing this. But We have ARC already running on the computer. So this is the very beginning. Welcome to ARC. You need to make sure you have your interface set to 48 kilohertz. And I think the software may already do that. The very first step, you're going to choose which microphone you have. I have the orange one, and I'm going to hit next, and then it'll tell me on your hardware which one do you have. So I'm going to choose my Delta card. My output will be my channel 1 and then channel 2R, and then my input is going to be 5. And if I want to, I can hit the ASIO panel. I don't know if sometimes these programs come up with it, sometimes they don't. Oh, you know what? I did forget one other thing, but I can turn this on now. I don't have my phantom power running on my mixer, but I do now. So yeah, this needs 48 volt phantom power. So I think I'm just going to double check. Input 5 is input 5. Input 5, and yes, so input 5 on everything. I'm going to hit next. Now, this is important. Actually, every step's important, but this is also important. You need to make sure your level, turn your volume on your speaker system down. I just turned it down on my mixer. If you just have volume on the back of your speakers or whatever, make sure it's down, because this audio signal is going to sound weird in a second. But this is how you got to have it set. So you need to make sure that it is at a medium intensity. They say that typically the volume you have it set at, it's weird though, because you have a signal that, you don't normally mix this signal. So I'm going to set it so that it's at a comfortable level. And then we'll go from there. So it actually, I think it says that, make sure your volume is at 0. And then I'm going to hit play test. Now on my mixer, I'm going to change this. If you look, can you zoom in on the mixer meter right here? See how it's hitting orange? That's not good. So what I need to do is I need to bring down my, actually I could just bring down the software level. That's what I'm going to do right now. The software level is better to do because I'm going to have that at unity on the auxiliary, the return. So I'm going to right click, go to Delta, and then I'm going to change it on the output. I don't know if these are linked or not. I'm hoping they are. Nope. Okay. So link, bring the volume down. So it's only hitting 0 on these meters, approximately 0. It's hitting about 2. So I could bring it down a little bit more on the software because I don't want it clipping my output. Let me know when it's 0. Give me a thumbs up. Is it 0? Looks like it is. Okay, it's 0. We're gonna say it's 0. So we can stop, we can hit play test again. Now we're gonna bring it up on our volume. Okay, I'm gonna bring it down. That's about where I want it to be. So I'm gonna hit play test to stop it. Actually, I gotta keep going. I forgot about the mic input. Okay, so hit play test again. Now what I want it to stop it anyway so you could hear me better. So I'm gonna hit play test again, and then what I'm gonna do is bring my gain up on my microphone preamp. And if you notice, when I was adjusting the gain on the preamp, I kept going back and forth, and now you can hear me. It's funny, I'm watching the software going. So you want to have it right. I like to do it right in the middle of the OK. So on my mixing board, if you want to zoom in on that, on knob 5 right here, that is, it might be out of focus, but It's almost up towards the, well, I guess it's about 90%, maybe 85% there. But we want to make sure we're getting a good signal into the software. Otherwise, this is just, it's just not going to work. Again, every step is pretty vital to this. It's a scientific deal. So now I'm going to hit play test again and shut my mouth. Okay, I'm good. So I'm going to hit next now. Now, what you're going to do, and it is starting to get a little bit hot in here. Both of us are going to shut up. Me and the camera guy are going to shut our mouths when we're doing this. But the first thing I need to do is I need to make sure measurement 1. So what I'm going to do, if you want to point this down, point this at the laser pointer area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold in my laser pointer button, and then that's going to activate the laser, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure the laser's lined up right with the number as I'm moving this. So watch this. Go back to the laser. So again, I'm going to push this in, and as I'm pushing it in, I'm moving the microphone, and it's going to be right smack dab in the center. It's a little bit hard to see, but that's approximately where I need to be, right? I think so. I'll blink it. Yeah, that's about right. So I'm right at measurement 1. We're going to make sure this doesn't move at all during the testing, during the measurements. So I'm going to shut my mouth now. Actually, you know what? I do need to go back because I moved the mic. Oops, I hit exit. Shit. That's okay though, because everything's already set up properly. So I'm going to hit next, bring this back in the center for you guys. Hit next, hit that, hit next. That should be all set properly. Play test. I'm going to shut my mouth. Yep, still good. And now I'm going to hit take measurement. And again, shut my mouth. It'll give me a countdown. I'm going to move over to this area while this is going on so it doesn't even hear me breathe. My body cannot be in this area. And I'm going to double check one more time that I'm pointing straight up. Okay. I'm going to move it a little bit more. Okay. Now I know the mic will be slightly, for the measurements, I'm going to make sure that I'm just to the side because I know it's going to be slightly off by about an inch or inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. But as long as I'm off 2 inches every single time from the side, it should be perfectly fine. If you really want to, if that really bothers you, then just make sure you have the laser just to the side. But like I said, as long as you are off at the same each time, it will be on, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to hit take measurement. Again, it's going to give me a countdown. And as it's counting down, I'm going to run over there and stop before it starts. 1, 2. Okay. I may have moved a little bit, so I'm gonna redo that last measurement. I'm gonna hit back. I'm gonna hit take measurement. I'm gonna make sure I'm stopping before this gets over. So one more time. 1, 2. Okay, and I'm holding my breath. I'm holding my breath when I do that. So now next step, move this over to number 2. Again, if you want to come over this way, I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to make sure, again, I'm sideways to this so that my offset is going to be the same each time. So number 2, right on top of the laser. The laser makes this process so much easier because I used to do it where I'm like looking down and it wasn't giving me the exact measurement. And it just makes the job easier. So now go back to that spot again, please. And I'm gonna run over there, take measurement, and not move. Woo! All right, and then to 3. Again, making sure I move my mic so I'm not changing the offset. And again, I'm hitting that laser, so it's right about in the center of the letter. And go back over there again. And hitting take measurement, and I'm gonna shut up again and hold my breath. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the rest of the measurements off camera. I'm gonna still have it set up on the screen capture though. But just, you just keep going on and on. 14 measurements, I believe, is the most you can do with ARC2, or maybe it's 16. Actually, it's on here somewhere. It's I think it's 14. But I would do the maximum amount of measurements you can do. But I'll come back after I'm finished the rest of the measurements. I'm on the last measurement now, number 16, and I need to talk about this for a second. So pan down, please. Okay, 16. Notice how it is at the same point as number 1. Now remember, when we do these measurements, we're going to, each of these were symmetrical on this imaginary vertical line that is right in the middle of 1. The very last measurement needs to be on that same vertical line all by itself. So I'm going to set this up one more time. Moving it over to 16. And looks like we're good. So one more measurement. And again, I'm going to run over there like a little kid. Okay, I think that is it. And yeah, it says click next to continue, because that's the most amount of measurements you can do. And I'm gonna call this Studio A Kitchen. And I'm gonna find my Yamaha looking speaker and hit next. And then, okay, I'm gonna hit finish. And I guess that's it. It used to do a measurement, but I guess it was calculating it during the actual process. So that's it. ARC, I believe it goes for $300 right now from most retailers. And actually, I'm gonna put the air conditioner back on right now because I am sweating. It's like 93 degrees out right now. And it's cooler in here, obviously, because it's indoors and in shade, but yeah, but that's an important step to make sure all the ambient noise you can get out of it is out. And really, I should have probably killed the fly that's been flying around here. I don't think that really affected the measurement too much, but if, again, you're a perfectionist, you might want to consider making sure all the insects are killed in your room. But yeah, ARC, I highly recommend this plugin and the way you work it. I know we're past the setup at this point, but when you're actually mixing, the way it works is you're going to put it on your master channel as the very last plugin. If you happen to have a monitor, they call it like a monitor channel that it basically disables any plugin as you're mixing down. You want to put it on there. I know Reaper has that and some other plugins have it as well. But otherwise, what you need to do is make sure it's the very, very last plugin in the chain. When you have that set up properly, if you're putting plugins on the master channel, you always need to make sure ARC is the very last plugin. If you don't, it's going to mess it up. And then the last step before you mix down, you're going to disable the plugin, and that's it. You'll have a good mix, much better than you should have. Even on consumer speakers, this thing works. I would recommend a program called ASIO for All. I'll link to that in the video description. But I'm going to load up Reaper right now and show you guys what I'm talking about. Hopefully I can remember how to get the monitor mix. It's been a while. I think it's View, Monitoring FX, okay? And then I'm going to choose ARC from this list. No, it's not. Please tell me this is saved properly. Here it is, Studio A Kitchen. Okay, it's calculating the measurement here. So instead of calculating it, because I think people were complaining because it would measure things after you do all the measurements, which takes a good like 20 minutes to a half hour. And then now without the laser pointer speeds up the process big time. But now it does all the calculations here for you, and because of the virtual monitoring and other things. So let's see what our measurement got us. Oh, wow. Look at that. Wow. So that's a big low end. Now that's probably because of my subwoofer, it did that. And then the high end, it flattened that out. And a little bit of mid-range, it was dipping. Otherwise, that's pretty, well, I wouldn't call it flat, but it's not too bad. Now, one thing I would recommend, I don't know why it does this. I don't know if it's because I don't have my subwoofer positioned properly or what the deal is, but a lot of times I will turn the subwoofer volume down when I'm doing the measurements. They don't recommend you do that, but I'm used to hearing like boom, boom, boom. And if that's what you're used to hearing when you hear music is a nice loud subwoofer, they recommend going in here and I think it's under edit, customize, and then you can adjust these parameters to increase your bass volume or whatever. But quite honestly, I just like to do it the manual way, using the hardware. And then after the measurements are done, putting the subwoofer volume back to where I had it. It's up to you. That's what works for me. Again, IK Multimedia does not recommend it. I've talked to them about this and they said, no, we recommend going in here and adjusting the EQ parameters, doing it that way. So if you want to follow what they say, then I would probably recommend that. I'm just telling you what I do. But this is, again, a great system. $300 is nothing to sneeze at. But to me, these beautiful speakers, which are great by themselves, I could not do mixing properly without this system. And measuring everything properly is key. They go into some of these things in the manual, but the laser pointer idea and like I said, the specifics about the preamp and all that, you need to do all that to get the most out of this. And I don't mix or record without this plugin. So again, highly recommended. Sometimes it's on sale, so it's less than $300, but even at $300, it's a bargain for what you get. It's absolutely crucial that you have it. And I hope this video helped everybody out who has this or is planning on buying it. This has been Adam for RealHomeRecording.com.